Namaskar, welcome to the 165th edition of FD Zone. Today we have Liquid Borders, directed by Barnali Roy Shukla. The film, the title is eponymous with this subject, and Barnali is here to do a brief introduction followed by the film, and after that she will take question and answers from all of you.
Thank you at Films Division, and thank you all. I see very special people here, I must say, and because you all have come, you all have become special now. I think I'll take the film related questions once the screening is over. And all I can say now is, when you watch Liquid Borders, please don't pressurize the viewing with borders, which is such a key word today. And I'm like, no, each day probably it's becoming more topical. So this is entirely my view and our journey, what we have taken. So please be kind, as most of you are, I hope. There are things that my mother doesn't tell me. She goes silent. I find it important to listen to those silences. That silence is complex.
Two questions. How did you deal with the BSF? Did you have to deal with them? Did you have to get permissions to shoot, especially I guess at the Bangladeshi border? We saw that you met also policemen at the Chinese border, I mean, in Himachal Pradesh. And second question is, there is obviously one important border missing. Why didn't you go to the Pakistani border?
Permission, see, thanks to Films Division, there was a blanket letter which we got to whomsoever it may concern with the Government of India logo, saying that this is a non-commercial effort and this is Barnali, who's a citizen of India, and I used to carry, and my camera person and I, we had our passport all along. So the Bangladesh border BSF, we actually briefed them, but up north, I don't think, you see, it's the cops, and it's the army that we spent 3 days at Poo, and we couldn't even get to shoot a boot or a car or a military truck or anything, because once you tell them, it's not. And the idea was not to probe and spy. We don't want that. It was a people's film, where you have a Nepali road worker saying that, India, China, like he's giggling and saying it could be a war. So that set the tone for us, I think. And the India-Pakistan border, officially, I was told that we want you to come back alive. So I would like to not comment after that, because this was shot in 2014, when it wasn't as obviously, apparently hitting the newspapers and the civilians as we know today.
Barnali, hi. Congrats. Great film, and I'm happy that I'm here. Now, coming to the question of borders, you labeled it as liquid borders. But if you militarily see, or even nation-wise see, we have the land border, we have the air border. Even you're not allowed to cross the airspace border.
Yeah.
Okay. And the land border, we know that on the Pakistan side, right now on the Kashmir and Right now, we think it's a sensitive thing, no, but this has been over the years.
Yeah.
So that area, it is nobody is allowed to go and photograph until and unless you have special permission to go there. So that I can understand.
Yeah.
But did you ever think that the land border and airspace border was also
Yeah, absolutely, ma'am. The only thing was this was a commissioned film. There's a time limit. I don't want to give excuses, but the fact is this theme is too layered, as in vertically layered, and the expanse of it is way too much. So I mean, this is a creative documentary, and I had to say this in a certain time space. Still, I didn't respect borders of the time space on contract. Let me assure you that, because I told the producer that, sir, is making a film important or is it pertaining to the dotted lines? He said, go make your film. So ideally, if it had 4 borders, it would have gone up to definitely 55 minutes.
Yeah.
But like having one, instead of feeling handicapped by what one doesn't have, one has to ensure that with what I say is probably scratching the surface. I mean, because I've been reading blogs and I can share that piece with you, only that you will be tracked and your email will be tracked right now. It's an INB person who's no more, Mr. M.M. Dash. Please read it. It's a 19-page report on what the politics of borders.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
you beautifully brought. I must congratulate you.
I have taken importance of the internal borders. Like for me, the 3 segments are, let's say, the bride, the widow, and the virgin. Where you see the Ayappa last one. They are probably just symbolic, but that's how I thought it would be nicer as a journey. Because if you're not able to go in there and bunkers, which also is disrespectful of the border protection that we are doing. In fact, the army invited us for a screening. I thought it would be complete oxymoron and we'll be shot dead or put in a cell. But it wasn't that.
Personally speaking, I went beyond the country's borders because even within our country, and if you talk about liquid, we've seen problems between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. That's another border. Then borders between villages and cities. Everybody is migrating to the cities because of economic prosperity or so-called economic prosperity. That's the reason why so many Bangladeshis want to come to India. It is for what they would consider a better life or economic prospects. So, because the film had a lot of your voice running through, I wanted to know, is there somewhere a personal journey, or what do borders really mean to you, or what is your personal opinion on borders? Should there be borders? Should there not be borders? Should borders be, could you permeate borders or not? So,
as long as the ministry tells me there won't be sedition charges, I will speak. I think this all happens when you cross 40. So it was really that I feel that what is subjected to you is a border or a boundary, but what you set for yourself is a limit. So I'm sounding very yo right now, but it wasn't that clear then. So it really started with me actually going on that boat. When I go to Cal, my brother and I, we take this 100-kilometer drive from the city and do this non-resident Bengali number where you want to be with the people and connect. And that's what I did. And the boatman actually went off to sleep. I rowed, and I have no emotional connect with Bangladesh, with nobody being from there. No cousin, no aunt, no grandparent. We are totally from Calcutta. So even then there was a vibe which one felt, and the very fact that you can row a boat and be in a new country, and the film songs were ours, the chai was ours, the language was Bengali. I'm getting goosebumps. It was like there weren't any borders is what one felt. And I didn't know Films Division then. That was possibly the time the synergy was happening. I was watching films here, and this was an opportunity to really look into the fact that something which I think affects us all, borders of every nature. So I think that as a nation, like even when censorship issues come, we keep saying that, do we need that body? Okay, as a society, let's kind of prove first that we don't need monitoring. That's an onus which we need to take because of all the crime cases and all that we see. and what we are loosely told that if clothes are worn this way, this happens. There is no cookie cutter pattern to this. So very largely, I think borders are made for a very ad hoc way of doing things. However, plurality should remain. Humans should believe that it's not just them who own the earth, because every other cross country is happening. Even today, like when I was coming, I was on a holiday. I see the news that at Ladakh there's been an incursion. China says there's no defined borders, but it's a civilian canal which they are pulling up. So again, it starts with the Satluj River, that's again coming to life. So the fact is, if we can begin a dialogue, the fact to believe that this is mine, that is yours, has to stop. We have to be a global community, like I suggest, one world order. I know it's too romanticized, but that's my views. I think even if 20 of us are together, we can make some difference.
Yeah, Banali, congrats. When I was seeing the film, I felt it's so difficult to make this film. And what I felt beautiful about in your film is the section where there's a marriage happening, the Bada marriage and the Chota marriage.
Chota marriage.
And
Please ask me more.
That's a place I felt very comfortable in the film.
Oh.
In the sense that, you're talking about an external border and the borders existing within our own small societies and families and all that. And that inward look, suddenly opens the film into a larger personal story, and which is then your narrative continues in the whole way, very, very philosophical actually in a lot of ways. And but when it comes to Sri Lanka and also the Bangladesh border, I miss that element, which was very strongly in that section in Himachal Pradesh. That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because we must know what really works as a narrative and not, because that's totally invisible. And I tapped that, and the girl crying, and there were so many stories, Ramani sir.
Are you planning to take a second part of this?
So we'd love to, but I think 13-day-old news is Rajnath Singh sir is saying that there'll be a wall between India and Pakistan.
Oh.
Because the other way to include Pakistan was, while we were choosing music, though Tinny, the editor, she said, no music, we are going to use music from what we have shot, which is how it is. Though the transition, there are two pieces of music which is recorded. One is Tagore's piece, and the last being from a Tamil film, the child's voice at the end credit. So Sukhwant Hadda is a Punjabi filmmaker, and he says, we have a lot of musicians in Pakistan. Okay. You and I are I'm going to help you sit at the Wagah border, not where the drill happens, because there is a no man's land. And we are, whatever quality, we are going to record music. So whether it's Bulle Shah, their philosopher, where would probably be the track, but all those were, we didn't find that important. Not that anybody stopped us. I think this film could not have been made without Films Division. No way. No way. I'm really, really, really grateful to Films Division this says a lot. This really says a lot. Everyone on the team. We were not allowed to mention the people, but from the last cashier to the commissioning director to Anil sir sending it to everywhere across the world. The way it was received in Italy and US is amazing. Here we are from different states, but the German thing, there was actually someone from East Germany who needed an interpreter, but somehow he followed the film, or parts of English he followed. So it says a lot. We are received well. You all do us proud. Thank you.